Alright everyone, welcome to Tiger's Playground. This is a redo of my PvP review of a Carnage Marauder 3.0 after the Revan expansion for Star Wars The Old Republic. Had a little technical difficulty there where my mic cut off about halfway through, so let's see if we can get through this without any kind of issues. So, to kind of start off, kind of review again, start from the beginning, and we'll kind of go through this whole thing again and see where we come out at. Alright, so, Carnage Marauder. First, Marauder is the Sith Warrior. It's a Sith Warrior. It's one of the two specialties that a Sith Warrior can be. The other is a Juggernaut, and let's see if we can go see here. So we have the three different ones. Carnage is the middle one. You have Annihilation, which is basically bleeds, damage over time type of effects here, and talents that are designed for that. You have Carnage, which is fast attacks, rapid attacks, and a lot of attacks. And then you have Fury, which looks to be, from what I read and what I reviewed, it's a balance between DPS and survivability and damage, or defense. So you have talents in the Fury tree which support defense, and then you have also talents that support damage. So let's get to the main one, the one that I am. My main is a Carnage Marauder. This is her right here. She has been my main since the beginning, since Star Wars The Old Republic began, and has been my main since, and I enjoy playing her quite a bit. Carnage Marauder is quite fun. So, just kind of a quick review of the new talent tree in 3.0. As you can see, it's a linear tree. Not like the old tree where you had different branches and you could say, well, do I need this? Should I go this route? When it comes to actual talents, you're set. As you level up, you're going to get specific passives and abilities for that specific specialty that you've chosen for that class. The utility changes, or the way you play your character changes, their effectiveness with utility points. Now you have a limited number of utilities points. It's 7. Let's see, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Yes, you have 7 utility points up to level 65, and you can put those points in whatever you want. You have 3 tiers for those utility points: skillful, masterful, and heroic. And so, there you go. That's pretty much how the current talent and spec system is set up. So let's get into the PvP spec that I have for my Marauder and my experiences with the new utility points. So briefly, I'll kind of go over some utility points that I did not find very useful personally. And if someone has had a different experience, please post in the comments, because I would love to hear about it. I'm always open for learning new ways to make my dual-wielding Reaper even more deadly. So to kind of start off, first utility point, Cloak of Carnage. It increases damage dealt by Cloak of Pain by 15%, and increases its duration for 4 seconds. That sounds cool, right? Okay. While Cloak of Pain is active, this is another one, Cloak of Rage. While Cloak of Pain is active, it generates 1 rage whenever you attack. This effect cannot occur more than once every 3 seconds. Okay, that seems cool, especially considering Carnage Marauders. Rage is if you don't manage your rage correctly, you're going to be in a bad spot. You're not going to be using your abilities. We consume rage like a drunk man in a bar consumes beer. We suck it down, we eat it up. So you need to really manage your rage appropriately and well to keep consistent, steady DPS out. So this utility, yeah, it seems okay, seems decent, gives you that little bit of extra boost. The thing is, though, with these two abilities that improve Cloak of Pain, Cloak of Pain has a cooldown of 1 minute. So, looking at that, 1 minute in PvP can be a long time, depending on what's going on. If you're defending, 1 minute can go by fairly quickly. If you're not, if you're on the offensive, you're pushing in, you're running between nodes, defending, attacking, whatever it might be. 1 minute, it can be a little bit of time. So especially if the action is heavy around you. I had tried to go those routes and another utility point down further. We'll talk about that later. But I'll talk about why I didn't particularly like that. So let's look at the other ones in the first tier. Path Carver, Sweeping Slash, deals 25 more damage, 25% more damage. Sweeping Slash, AoE effect, not really interested. I want to burst down, single target, murder, whatever I have my eye on, so I can quickly move on to the next target, not trying to do AoE damage as a Carnage Marauder. Stagger, increases duration of force charges, immobilize effect by 1 second. I don't particularly see how this is useful. 1 second for one skill, one utility point, which by the way you only have 7 of, for 1 second of immobilization effect, and that is on someone who doesn't have a cleanse up where they are free for immobilization effects for a certain period of time or something like that. No, I don't see that being useful. I know back in the old days people have said get stagger, it's important. No, I'll pass. I don't think it's important, and I'll talk to you about why. So what do I have for the first tier for PvP? Well, right now I have defensive forms, which improves my SWTOR form, which is what the Carnage Marauder gets. It increases your movement speed by 15%. I think that's pretty good. And I think it ties into some of the other utility points I have, and we'll get to that. Keeps you speedy, keeps you being able to catch up to people trying to run away. Generally keeps you faster than a normal person when you're just running, just by a little bit. And it lets you, I think, get that little bit of edge in terms of getting away or catching up to someone, especially catching up. Overwhelm. Ravage immobilizes the target for the duration of the ability. I love this. To me, this right here is one of the abilities in PvP, if you're going to PvP with your Carnage Marauder, that you cannot go without. When you ravage someone, you want to keep them in the same spot so you can complete your rotation, force them to use an interrupt. If they don't have the interrupt, you complete your rotation and you do lots of damage. If you don't have this, you're not going to be completing your ravage rotations in PvP. It's not going to happen. When you jump on someone and then you ravage them, they're going to move. You're going to lose your rotation. It's a waste of DPS. You want to have Overwhelm. So, Unyielding. Generate 4 rage when stunned, immobilized, put to sleep, or knocked around. Those of you who PvP a lot, in this game, unfortunately, I think it's a hindrance more than a help, but this game is ridden with stuns. You can get stun locked very easily. It reminds me of the old WoW, where a rogue could stun lock you. This time it's different people stun lock you, throwing those carbonite grenades and flash grenades and operatives and stun locking you, and it's ridiculous. I can't stand it, especially as a melee fighter. People see those 2 lightsabers swinging, and many times they will focus, a group will focus you. So that's something that this helps you keep that rage up so you can unleash that DPS once you're unstunned. And I've had situations where I've been stun locked, my health has gone down, I've gotten out, the stun is worn off, I've got a lot of rage, and I am pumping out the DPS, and it has saved me a few times. Sometimes it doesn't, but it has saved me because they start running, they get scared, and then you can finish them off because you're melting their health. So those are the three talents that I have in the first tier of the utility points for Carnage Marauder. Let's move on to the second tier, Masterful tier. First, let's look at what I don't have. So, Cloak of Annihilation. Use each use of Assault, Battering Assault, and Crippling Slash reduces the active cooldown of Cloak of Pain by 3 seconds. So, you can, every time you use Assault or Battering Assault, which builds Rage, it reduces, and Crippling Slash, which slows your opponent, you reduce your cooldown of Cloak of Pain by 3 seconds. So, I thought when I first saw these utility points, hey, that looks like a cool combination I can do with Cloak of Carnage and Cloak of Rage. Really boost up my Cloak of Pain ability, get some defensive abilities, because as a Carnage Marauder you are a squishy glass cannon, and you know, really use that. But what I found is that in PvP it didn't really help that much, because with a 1 minute cooldown, you know, I'm not going to be spamming Assault and Battering Assault that much. Like, for example, if I initiate an engagement and, you know, I use Battering Assault, which builds 6 Rage. I use Assault, which builds 3 Rage. Okay, I have 9 Rage. I'm burning that down. I can use Assault when I get to 50%, bump it up again by 3, and just, you can alternate, but you're not going to sit there and spam Assault to really burn off that minute of cooldown for Cloak of Pain, in my experience. I should say it's not going to happen fast. You're not going to be popping Cloak of Pain every, you know, 15 seconds or so. For some, it might seem... Mic just cut off there. Good thing I caught it. So for some it might seem useful if you use Cloak of Pain that much, or if you want to spam Assault, Battering Assault, Crippling Slash that much. I personally do not. Here's why. Because when I am I don't want to spam Crippling Slash and Battering Assault and Assault. I want to put out something that's going to give some DPS, like Massacre, like Devastating Blast, Ravage, Vicious Throw. I'm using Battering Assault and Assault to build my Rage only. It does DPS. Yes, they do DPS. Compare the DPS to Massacre, to Devastating Blast, to Ravage, to Vicious Throw. DPS is significantly less. And I use, again, Battering Assault and Assault for Rage builders, to supplement DPS, to keep my flow of Massacre and these other abilities flowing. So again, not to harp on you know, continue to beat a dead horse here, but Cloak of Annihilation, personally, don't see it to be that useful. If someone has had a different experience, please post, comment. I would love to hear about it and see how you have used this ability that has helped you. So moving on, defensive role reduces damage taken from area effects by 30%. I would love to have this. I've thought about getting this. I haven't, just because sometimes AoE and PvP is it comes and goes. Sometimes you run into it a lot. Sometimes you won't run into it hardly. So I felt this was something that could be sacrificed. In the old talent system, I had defensive role, hands down. I kept it. It's a good utility to have, you know, just in case. This time, because you're limited with utility points, severely limited, I decided not to get it. But I think it could be useful. Phantom increases duration of force camouflage by 2 seconds and further increases the movement speed bonus of force camouflage by 20%. This can be good if you use force camouflage a lot as a escape mechanism, catching up, that type of thing. I use force camouflage as a confusion method and a you know, when I'm slowed or I have some kind of limiting effect on me, I can force camouflage out of it. We'll get to that in a little bit. but this could boost force camouflage. I just decided not to take it. I felt there were better talents out there, or utility points. Displacement increases the range of obfuscate by 6 meters and allows Cloak of Pain to be used while stunned. This is a good defensive talent, or utility I should say. You get stun lock, pop Cloak of Pain, let it rotate, you're dealing out DPS, you know, especially if you have some of these talents that boost Cloak of Pain, and that can maybe help protect you from getting burned down too much when you get stun locked by a operative or in a group. I haven't tried this yet. Let me put this out there. I have not tried displacement yet. If someone has, please post and share your experiences with that. I've thought about it, but like I said earlier, in my experience when I'm stun locked, if it's a group, I'm going to get burned down anyway because they're going to focus me. If it's one-on-one, usually I can heal with a Warzone stem, or if they don't burn enough health points from me, I can usually burn them down quite a bit from the rage I've built up, on top of you know, using my abilities and such. And so I haven't really felt the need specifically to use this, but I'd love to hear about someone's experience with that. Moving on, Strangulate. This reduces the cooldown of Force Choke by 15 seconds. I love Force Choke. It's a nice interrupt, and it's a nice way to finish someone off. You see them casting their low health Force Choke, and then Vicious Throw them to kind of finish them off or reduce their health points. Yeah, I would love to have this as well, but again, with limited utility points, I decided to try other things. I might try this down the road. If I do, I will comment and let you guys know how it was. So what do I have in the second tier? Interceptor. Force Charge, Force Rend, Devastating Blast, and Obliterate snare the target, reducing its movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. So let's look at this. Force Charge, Force Rend, don't use that. Devastating Blast, use that, and Obliterate snare the target, reducing its movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. Force Charge and Devastating Blast, use that often. Force Charge to initiate, Devastating Blast multiple times. It's a cooldown of 8.6 seconds, and it does a lot of DPS, especially if you get the crit buff that pops up after you are fighting someone. You hit that Devastating Blast, you will crit quite a bit. The largest Devastating Blast I had on someone was 13k. I don't know if they had a lot of expertise or not. My guess was no, but still. So I can do Devastating Blast. I could force charge in, slow them down 50%, burn them down, hit them with Devastating Blast. Again, reduces their speed by 50% for 6 seconds, keeping them near me, keeping them in my range for my melee attacks and my abilities, and burning them down, hopefully. And that's what you really want to do as a Carnage Marauder. You want to keep your target near you so you can get those lightsabers stuck in them and finish them off. So in my opinion, Interceptor is very important and very useful for PvP. Just my take. So again, different experience, please comment. Subjugation reduces the cooldown of obfuscate. I can never say that. Obfuscate by 15 seconds and disruption by 2 seconds. I looked at this as a kind of a defensive ability because let's look at these two abilities here. So disruption. You guys who play Carnage Marauder, you know this is where you interrupt someone's casting. They have the cast bar going, hit disruption, done. Can't use that ability for the next 4 seconds. I love it. It has a 10-second cooldown. So with normally it's 12 seconds. Now with that talent, I believe it's 10 seconds. That's pretty good. 10-second disruption, you can interrupt someone's casting. I think that's pretty good. So the next one, Obfuscate. Obscures a target's vision, reducing its melee range accuracy by 90% for 6 seconds. This ability does not respect the global cooldown. 90% for 6 seconds. In 6 seconds, you can do a lot of DPS as a Carnage Marauder if you have the rage for it. So you pop in, you engage with someone, they're fighting you. Let's say they are about to burn you down, or sometimes I even pop it right off the bat. If I jump in on another Marauder or a Sentinel, or if I do a oh God, what do you call them? The stealthers, you know what I'm talking about. Operatives or smugglers or whatever. Sometimes I'll jump right in and pop out immediately, burn them down. They try to hit me, 6 seconds. For 6 seconds, they have a 90% accuracy reduction, and I can burn them, and they're squishy anyway. Again, that's something that you have to really kind of feel. What is the right moment to use this? You know, if you are PvPing against a player, and you know this player is giving good DPS and they're killing people, you might want to pop it early in your fight. I should have moved. That just really logged me off. All right, let's get back. I can't believe that happened. So, again, you really want to kind of learn and feel out how to use that ability, because you don't want to waste it, because it's a good ability. It's 6 seconds, but you don't want to waste it because it has a 45-second cooldown. Okay, so it's something to keep in mind. 45-second cooldown. So, and that's with the talent, but I think it's worth it. Sorry about that interruption, so let's get right back to it. So that's the second utility point I decided to get in the second tier, is subjugation. So far, I've had decent results. Again, I might remove it and try something else. Like I said, I thought about trying strangulate or displacement, maybe. Yeah, but so far I haven't. So moving on to the third tier, the heroic tier. What I do or do not have, let's start with that. Relentless increases the duration of Undying Rage by 2 seconds. I never use Undying Rage. I've never used Undying Rage, and I don't see me using it. Why? Let's look at it. Reduces the damage you take by 99% for 4 seconds. Okay, that's cool. But when the effect ends, 50% of your current health is lost. 50%. So if I pop Undying Rage and I'm 50% health, I won't go down to a quarter health. No, I don't think so. To reduce my damage taken by 99% for 4 seconds, no. That's a good survivability, maybe a good burn down. Okay, you're burning someone down, you're almost at the end. They start DPSing you, you pop this on them, maybe let you get that killing blow. I've never tried it. I don't see myself using it. To me, I don't see it. But if someone has different experiences, please share. I would love to hear about it. So, a Relentless is increases the duration of Undying Rage by 2 seconds. So, Undying Rage goes up from 4 seconds to 6 seconds, reduces your damage taken by 99%. Alright, Inescapable. This is one that I did try. Crippling Slash consumes 2 less rage. In addition, using Crippling Slash against a target already slowed by your Crippling Slash, so you have to spam Crippling Slash, you have to use it twice, it mobilizes that target for 3 seconds. This immobilizing effect cannot be applied to the same target more than once every 10 seconds. You jump in, you're burning someone down, you hit Crippling Slash, they slow them down, maybe it didn't. You gotta hit it again. You immobilize them. But just think, let's look at Crippling Slash. Crippling Slash uses 3 rage, so that's 6 rage to immobilize them for this talent. 6 rage, I can do 2 massacres. 6 rage is 2 devastating blasts. 6 rage is 2 vicious throws. So, I personally, I tried it out. I tried the talent. I thought, ooh, another immobilization effect. I can keep my target near me. No, to me, it wasn't worth it. I felt like it was taking that edge off of DPS, because instead of using Massacre, Vicious Throw, Devastating Blast, I was having to use another Crippling Slash to slow my target down. I just didn't feel like it was worth it. I didn't feel it, and I just didn't think it was. I didn't think it was worth the talent, to be honest. Again, utility points are hard to come by. There's only 7 for 65 levels. You need to use all that you can. So, but possibly it could work with some of these other talents that keep your enemy close to you. I don't know. For me, it didn't work. It didn't seem to be that well, to work that well. Brooding. Reduces the cooldown of Intimidating Roar by 15 seconds. In addition, you build up 30 Fury over the course of using Channel Hatred. This effect cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds. Before this patch, I really liked the fact that, you know, automatically, every Carnage Marauder, I think it was everyone, I could be wrong, when you used Channel Hatred, you built Fury. Great! That let me build Fury before a fight. I thought it was great. Now it's a utility point. Reduces Intimidating Roar by 15 seconds. Intimidating Roar has a cooldown of 57.7 seconds. So it drops down to 42.7 seconds. Paralyzes up to 8 enemies in fear, preventing action for up to 6 seconds. That is, if they don't pop their get out of jail free card, so to speak. I'm not really feeling it. 42 seconds in PvP. I don't know. Another defensive ability, or stun ability, if you want to call it. I never tried it. I don't really see the big utility with it. But if someone, once again, has had a different experience, please comment below. I'd love to hear about it. Blood Ward. Getting attacked while Saber Ward is active heals you for 3% of your maximum health. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. That sounds cool, doesn't it, right? Let's look at Saber Ward. And my Saber Ward. 3-minute cooldown. 3-minute cooldown. Saber Ward raises the lightsaber ward, increasing melee and range defenses by 50% and absorbing 25% of the damage taken from force and tech attacks. Lasts 12 seconds. 3 minutes. In PvP, 3 minutes is a lifetime. That's a long time. I personally feel Blood Ward is a PvE ability. Just personally, because within that 3-minute time span, if you use it on a boss, you kill a boss, it's gonna take 3 minutes or more to get to the next boss. I feel this is a PvE ability. If someone disagrees, please comment. So I've never tried Saber Ward in PvP. Never even tried it. Undying reduces the cooldown of Undying Rage by 30 seconds. So Undying Rage, again, that drops down to 1 minute 30 seconds. I've just went over reasons why I don't use Undying Rage, and I never have. So, but maybe for someone who has, because I've seen rotations for Carnage Marauders, people talk about Undying Rage, popping that, using that a lot. Maybe it is good for someone who has that in their rotation. If you're one of those people, let me know how that works for you and why you use it. So let's look at what I do have in the third tier. I have Unbound. Unbound, so my mic cut off again. When Predation is applied or refreshed, it purges movement impairing effects. Additionally, the movement speed bonus of Predation is increased by 30%. So when you pop Predation, it purges, or when it's applied or refreshed, notice that, it purges movement impairing effects, keeps you fast, keeps you agile, and increases the effects of Predation by 30%. Predation requires and converts 30 stacks of fury to issue Predation to you or your operation group members. So if you're fighting in a PvP group battle and you're fighting at a node, or if you're all moving towards to defend a node, you pop Predation, everyone beside you will get that bonus within 40 meters of you. It increases your movement speed by 50% and melee and range defense by 10%. Last 10 seconds. So let's look at this talent or utility again. The movement speed bonus of Predation is increased by 30%. This boosts your Predation speed bonus up to 80%. I think that's pretty nice. 80% keeps you fast for 10 seconds, blazing around the battlefield, and also you can also use it one-on-one. If someone jump here to keep me going. If someone, let's say one-on-one, you need to be agile and move and run around somebody, pop Predation. If you need to get away so you can jump in, you stun them, you need to get away to jump in and do a a force charge, so you can do maybe an initial opening rotation on them. Predation away. You can get away really quickly. Pop in. Boom. A lot of uses for that, and I think it's a nice talent. Is it worth using up a utility point? Maybe not. I use Predation and Bloodthirst often in PvP, so hey, for me it's something that's worth it. Expunging Camouflage is something else that also happened. I also use for the 3rd tier. Force Camouflage removes all cleansable effects when activated. So if I have something that's cleansable on me, a slow, stun, whatever, if I can use Force Camouflage out that, go invisible, reposition myself, attack. I think this is good. Earlier, when these utility points first came out, I did not have Expunging Camouflage, and Force Camouflage I felt was really lacking, and I did not feel it was useful. Because if you don't have this talent, and you Force Camouflage, and you're slowed, you will remain slowed. So guess what? They can still see you, and they can attack you. So it doesn't matter that you're invisible, you're still going to die. And I've had that happen a couple of times before, where I could not get away. I Force Camouflage, so I was used to the old way, where Force Camouflage automatically did that. You know, you had your talents that boosted that up. You can get a bunch of these talents together, and not having that talent, it hurts. I felt it was it really limited me in PvP, and I believe Force Camouflage is very helpful in PvP, so I think this talent is worth it. Could it go with that other talent that boosts Force Camouflage? Where was it? There we go. Phantom increases duration of Force Camouflage by 2 seconds, increases movement speed by 20% while Force Camouflage. Yeah, these two could go together. Have I tried them together? No, because I felt they were better talents to put my utility point. I keep saying talents. Better options to put my utility points in. But if Force Camouflage is something you really love a lot, yeah, do it. If you like getting away, if defense is something that you want to focus on your Carnage Marauder, because we are glass cannons, this could be something, a combination to have. So that's an overview of the utility points for Carnage Marauder and the current spec that I have of utility points in my PvP. It's been helpful so far, and I think it's useful. But again, I'm going to continue to play around with it, because I'm always looking for ways to bring more pain to my enemies in PvP. So let's quickly review the Carnage Marauder abilities of special talents that you get. SWTOR form enters the acrobatic lightsaber form, increases alacrity by 3%, which is your alacrity is your casting, your channeling of abilities like Ravage. And in addition, your successful melee attacks have a 20% chance to trigger a second strike that deals 837 to 925 weapon damage. This effect can now occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. So when I do Massacre, when I do, you know, not devastating blast, but assault or battering assault, I have a chance to hit, you know, other abilities as well. I have a chance to get a second attack, which is nice. It's very nice. And sometimes that second attack, or that additional trigger, I should say, from your melee attacks can crit too. So just think it's not like a plain, you know, vanilla attack. It has ability to crit. And it, as fast as you attack as a Carnage Marauder, you can get a lot of second hits in. It's great. I've gotten second hits in that have triggered when I was stunned. I was stunned, jumped in, initiated engagement, stunned, but my second attack still triggered. So that's still that little DPS in that I wouldn't have gotten if I wasn't a Carnage Marauder. So that's something to consider. Massacre. I love Massacre. This is something you want to spam. You want to spam Massacre. It strikes with the target with both lightsabers for a certain amount of damage. I won't have to read that. And automatically triggers an SWTOR form strike. Automatically triggers. Bypassing a SWTOR form's rate limit. Notice that. So Massacre bypasses the rate limit, which is 1.5, has a cooldown of 1.5 seconds, and also does damage. So it does damage as the extra attack, which can crit every time you use it. For 6 seconds after using Massacre, your artillery format has an extra 30% chance to be triggered. Requires 2 lightsabers. Massacre is great. Spam it, love it, use it a lot. Gore, I love Gore. I try to keep Gore up as much as I can before I use an ability. If Gore is up, pop it, use it. It doesn't do damage. I think it used to in the old patch, which was nice. I think I've killed people on using Gore before, because it used to when they were low health, but now it just does increases your armor penetration by 100% for 3 seconds. This is great. Pop Gore before you Ravage. Pop Gore before Devastating Blast. Pop Gore before Massacre. If you can pop Gore, keep it up. You never want... Every time it's up, and it only uses 1 rage. Whenever it's up, use it. Devastating Blast replaces Force Screen, and it unleashes a powerful blast of Force energy at the target, dealing and a certain amount of damage. The blast stuns the standard and weak enemies for 5 seconds, so it will stun. That's NPCs, of course. It does not stun players, but Force Devastating Blast is a powerhouse. Like I said, I've gotten 13. I've gotten a 13k crit. I've gotten 11k, 10k, and down crits with my Devastating Blast. I love it. If you can pop it after a Gore, I mean, do it. Those Gore works very well with all of your abilities as Carnage Marauder. So that's something that really boosts your DPS. Okay. So, looking at all of that, that's my experience with the Carnage Marauder. My spec in terms of utility points, and kind of a brief overview of the special abilities that you will get as a Carnage Marauder. Now, someone has asked me to show a rotation and the gear I have. I'll briefly go over my gear. My gear is really kind of common. I follow the pattern that I've read online. You want to focus on power. Power, surge, a little bit of crit. I really don't even care about crit. My crit is 17.71%. People say you need to have, way back it used to be, maybe not that far back, you want to have, what was it, 20 to 30% crit, maybe less, I can't remember exactly. I focused on power. I really don't care about crit that much, and I've seen good results with that. Sometimes you might see a lull in your DPS, but then other times you will see an explosion, and you will just absolutely melt down people. So crit, surge, yes. When you crit, it's gonna hurt. Your power combined with surge, when you crit, they're gonna feel it. When you crit with Massacre, especially Devastating Blast or Ravage, it's gonna hurt bad. So something to keep in mind. Strength, so basically, power, surge, strength. You want accuracy. Mine's low. I want to get it close up to 90 to 100%, but I've been, I haven't really, put the not enchantments, but augments. Yes, augments on my gear to support that. I plan on doing that. I've had decent results anyway. There have been times where I've missed abilities on players in PvP, but hey, I think I have decent DPS anyway. So my gear is in my shells. This is an old piece of gear. Reaver leggings, new PvP set. I just customized set. So that's how I have spec'd my gear: power, surge, strength. I'd say maybe accuracy. No, probably endurance, accuracy, crit. Generally kind of that order towards the end, but definitely power, surge, strength, because I want to burn you down. I want to burn my enemies down and make them run. I love it. So someone asked about my opening or my rotation, so let me go ahead and go to my ship where I have my dummy, and I'll show you guys my rotation. And let's talk a little bit about that. Rotation with Carnage Marauder really isn't there. you will have a opening set, if you want to call it that, opening set. However, Carnage Marauder, and maybe other classes are different. That's an operation training dummy. I can't remember if I have a PvP dummy or not. We might end up using that one anyway. All right, let's just use this. So, there really is no set rotation for Carnage Marauder. You really need to, if you're going to play a Carnage Marauder, you really need to learn to feel your character. That might sound a little abstract for some, but for me, that's how my approach to Carnage Marauder has become, and what I feel is the way to do it. You need to feel when to boost up your rage and when to use an ability. You need to feel for a sense of what's going on around you, and do I need to use battering assault? Can I just use assault? Do I need to burn down this target that I'm at, or can I wear them down because it's not that much of a threat to me? There's not a lot of threats going on around me, or there's a lot of threats. I need to burn through them fast so I can move on. I need to get out, use force camouflage to get away, re-engage. A lot of different options, a lot of different things that you need to be aware of, and just kind of learn to feel with your Carnage Marauder. Trust in kind of your character and what you're feeling needs to happen, and you'll learn by trial and error, successes and losses, of what tactics work in certain situations and what situations work. So, that being said, there is a basic engagement pattern, if you want to call it, that I follow when I engage with a target initially. And what that is sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't, but generally I do. I will do a saber throw. Right? Get that little bit of extra boost, little pump in DPS. Force charge in. Gore. Ravage. Right? And then hit him. Devastating blast. My rage is low. You gotta keep your rage up. That's the main thing. Keep your rage up. And then after that, you just watch your rage. Use battering assault and assault as needed to keep your rage fluctuating. You don't want to really drop low. You want to keep it up here so these abilities can flow. Massacre, Devastating Blast, Vicious Throw, Ravage. You want to keep those abilities flowing out. If you're pumping out these abilities, Devastating Blast, Gore, of course that only uses one rage. Massacre, Vicious Throw, Ravage. I mean, your DPS would be consistent. Honestly, that's basically it for a rotation, quote unquote. However, I will say, like I was saying before, you want to use Gore. You want to use Gore anytime it comes up. So if you hit it, force charge in, Gore. Don't use your Ravage right away if you're PvP. Hit them. Devastating Blast. Boom. Build up a little bit of rage, massacre, Gore. And then one thing, let me say this. When you don't use Ravage right away, when you engage an enemy, that is to because they're going to expect you to do that. They're going to wait for you to pop Ravage, which is a big DPS dealer, and then they're going to interrupt you. And then you have to wait, 17 seconds, 17.3 seconds before you can do Ravage again. So by doing that, you keep them. So I'm not sure where the mic cut off at. So let me just say that I was talking about Predation and Berserk. So you can really want to keep these up. If you have them to pop them. Unless you don't need them. If you're burning down someone one-on-one, they're almost dead, you got a lot of life left, you don't really need to pop it, don't. Save it. Because this is going to take you time to build up these stacks of fury again. Of course you can always pop Bloodthirst or Frenzy, but still, you want to feel out when to use them and when to not. Don't waste them. However, Berserk and Ravage go together very well. Some of my favorite combinations to do. So for example, you initiate, gore, don't do Ravage right away, keep them guessing, maybe force choke, oh, they interrupt me, you're building up, you say I want to pop it, pop Ravage. Keep the DPS flowing. Keep it flowing. Man massacre a few times. Got a crit. As you can, you get my point. And there's an arterial strike. You get my point. So feel it out. You want to pop. I use Predation and Berserk all the time. I have my defensive abilities close next to each other. Sometimes I will pop Cloak of Pain when I initially engage someone, just to add up the extra defense and kind of keep it running, or give me a little bit extra survivability. And again, this could come into effect if you want the talent where you can pop Cloak of Pain when you are stun locked. That could be something that you could try, and something I might try down the road. So again, you want to utilize all your abilities, keep Gore up, use Predation and Berserk, especially if you can pop Gore, Berserk, and Ravage. That's a nice combination. It is a very, very nice combination. It's something that I highly recommend you kind of get used to throwing together and keeping an eye on all of those three abilities up, and if they are, put them together to burn down somebody. It's always a good feeling when you complete a Ravage rotation with Berserk and Gore up. So I hope this has been helpful and beneficial to everyone to watch. If you have any comments or questions, please post them. If you have suggestions, if you think this review sucks or great, let me know. And share your experiences with the Carnage Marauder. As I said, I'm always looking to better my ability to deal out death and destruction. So until next time, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you then.